Hello, everybody. How's it going? Welcome back to the show. Welcome to the Dropping It Our podcast. I am your host, Sophia. How's it going? How was everyone's Mother's Day? Everyone had a good Mother's Day? My Mother's Day was actually really good on paper, but I've had some killer pregnancy symptoms that they weren't bad. They were just pretty painful, but normal. But on paper it was great. My husband made me breakfast in bed. My father-in-law came over and fixed some stuff in my house for us. Jake bought me these beautiful hanging plants for our patio or our porch. I guess you could call it porch. It's 2 feet. It's a porch, I guess. We went out to dinner with his mom. I called my mom. I told her the gift that I'm sending late because I couldn't make it to the post office in time. Darn morning sickness ruled my world last week. And yeah, it was great. Oh, and then Jake drew me a bath, and then we watched Game of Thrones. It was a good Mother's Day. I did have a lot of pain, but it was really good. So, I take what I can get. Anyway, I've been feeling a lot better lately. I've been feeling great today. So here I am. I'm so excited. Do you guys like my pen? It's from this podcast called Podcasting, and the girl that does the podcast name is Chani, and she very, very kindly sent it to me. Props to everybody that do pins. I just can't do that. I just don't have the capacity right now to have product be made and then send it from my house. You know what I mean? My pets are playing loudly again. Welcome to the show. I just don't have that. So I always I totally respect people that do this, and it's not as easy as what it sounds, because a lot of times you have to pay money to have these made, and then you have to just hope that that you sell enough to get your money back and make a profit to help support the show. I don't know how she did it, but I know I've been approached by companies many times to do a pin, many times, and many times I just had to say no because I don't know, I just can't commit to orders. Y'all that do that, y'all yarn dyers, y'all that that make a product on Etsy, I just thank you, because I can't do it. So thank you for being able to do it, because that's a lot of work. People think, oh, you're just knitting. Oh, you're just making. Nah, man, that's some logistics. My dog about to get her Kong taken away. Come back. Yeah, it's not as easy as knitting and just sending it out. You have to worry about pricing, where you're gonna resource your materials. It's a whole operation. So much respect and so much love to people that do that. Thank you, Chani, for sending this pen. Sorry, it's reflecting off my window. You kind of see it's a computer with a little yarn ball in it. Let me try to get closer. Last time getting out of breath, y'all. I'm getting too big. So not really, but I'm just getting too tired. So yeah, so for y'all who no one has asked me for merch. No one's asking. Those memes that says no one, and then underneath it says me, merch. No one's been asking for merch, or maybe a few people asked for a pin, but that's gonna be in the future. And when I do it, I would probably do it in a way where I would have a company handle all the orders and the logistics, and I would just make a small commission off of it. You make less doing that, but quality control, man. I'm not sure how my life's gonna be in the next 6 to 9 months, with me slowly turning into a watermelon. So yeah, but that's pretty much what our podcast is about today. A lot of y'all, way back when, a few weeks before I started puking everywhere, I started talking about the process of designing, and y'all seem to really like that. So this video is going to be pretty much my whole design process from top to bottom. I am gonna do a in-depth video footage of it, and I have recorded me editing and writing and grading a pattern on my screen. Sorry. And I'm going to have that all coming out later because all that deals with a project that's going to be published. So all that's going to come later. But to quench that thirst, because everyone said, please don't stop that segment. We're going to do it. But before I do, I want to thank y'all for helping my armpits last week. I have bought the Schmidt's Charcoal Magnesium Mineral Enriched Natural Deodorant, okay? Love it. I love that it's gluten-free. A lot of y'all don't know that I have a really bad intolerance to gluten and wheat. I can't really use it that much in my hair products, on my body, nothing. Like, it's slowly getting better. My doctor said that because it's just an intolerance, I may have celiac. I've never been tested for celiac, but he said it's probably just an intolerance. And he said sometimes it might get better over time. Still, I don't eat it. I don't like to use it. I just started to be able to use Aveeno this year because the oats have traces of gluten in them from the field, and it used to make me really sick. But lately, I've been able to get away with some Aveeno, and I'm happy. Oh, my hair is tragic. My hair is tragic right now. I am so sorry. So yeah, this is gluten-free, it's cruelty-free, it's certified vegan, and this was the overall winner, what everyone said to try. Don't worry, y'all, if you suggested something else, if this doesn't work for my body chemistry, I'm going to give it a few weeks. A lot of y'all have told me what happened is when you switch natural deodorant, you can sweat a lot more than usual, and then you'll be like, that ain't working. What happened before, it wasn't even that. Like, I literally had a thick paste of Tom's deodorant on my underarm for at least a week. I was devastated. I thought my underarms were shot for the rest of my life. Remember, I was like 19, so I don't know nothing, okay? Like, you think you know a lot at 19. You don't. I thought my armpits were done for, like, deceased. Like, I thought that was it, you know? It just really jacked up my skin. Like, my skin just had a bad reaction to it. And so, and on top of that, I feel like it had aluminum in it. Yes, I bought the I'm talking really fast. I'm from Jersey. The antiperspirant Toms, and it messed up my skin. And yeah, and it still had aluminum in it, and it still jacked up my skin. It made me sweat bullets. And so far, so good. I'm having, you know, a way better reaction. I'm like massaging to see if I'm like sweating, and I'm not. So that's great. So thank you everyone that suggested. Yeah, y'all emailed me, y'all messaged me, y'all would have called me if you had my number. And I just want to say thank you because I could be a little like, it's kind of hard to reach me sometimes. So I really appreciated that. And now I tried it. And yeah, so thanks again. I just want to bring that up. And I'm drinking water. Some of y'all have been asking me, do I drink mocktails? I tried. I just can't stomach sugar right now. And when I mean sugar, I mean, like, I can't stomach refined sugars in a large amount. It has to be cane sugar, and it has to be a small amount and not all at once. I can have some fruit juices, because if I do too much of the fruit juices, even if there's no added sugar, it will make me beyond sick. It just makes me sick. I don't know. Like, my body is rejecting every liquid but water and fruit. Like, I can have fruit, like just plain old fruit with the whole fiber in it and everything, but I can't have the juice that comes with it. Like, I don't know why anyone else had this problem. I've been drinking so much water. I had a doctor's appointment yesterday, just a checkup, and I was like, I'm drinking too much water. He's like, no, you're not. And I'm like, I have to be. Because I drink several, not one, not two, not three, several of these a day. These are 24 ounces. Is this normal? Am I just like turning into a plant? So let's get on with the topic. 9-minute intro. Hello. Welcome to the show. All right, so we're going to talk about I don't know what I'm doing to my nose. We're going to talk about the design process. I might have some pictures, so hopefully I have enough space to put them in post-production. So yeah, I'm going to move over so I can have a space right here. So first things first, I do not design like a normal designer. I've talked about this before when I talked about my design classes. I do not design like a regular designer. I'm just saying that. I don't. Whenever I've tried to design like a regular designer, like I tried it with Final Frost just to be sure I wasn't going crazy. And that has a lot more technical issues in my pattern than ever seen before. I was shook. I was so mad at myself as a designer because I've never had that many problems in my design. And I knew why. It was because I stepped away from what I normally did and what I normally learned and what I tell you what to do. In my classes, I stepped away because I just want to be like, okay, what if I did it this way? And it just did not work. So let's start at the beginning. Okay, when you design usually, and I'm sorry if you heard this spiel before, but when you design, usually this is what happens, okay? You automatically might gravitate to a yarn. Like I have my yarn on the floor, don't judge me. I'm in the midst of reorganizing. I'm so sorry. But like, so I just pick it up. Like this La Jolla yarn has been like up my butt because it's so beautiful and I just want to knit with it. Anyway, it's by Bye Yarns. Hey, I've been carrying this yarn like for a year now, thinking, what am I gonna knit with it? But I digress. Like you might gravitate toward a yarn like this and be like, oh my goodness, I want to design with this. I want to design with this. And then you just pick up a bunch of needles and like an artist, you just start. You know, you just start swatching. You might even just cast on the project depending on what it is. And then you just keep going and going until it's done. And if you're like me, you know, you might be a fast knitter, unless you got morning sickness and it makes you seasick. But you might be a fast knitter and like you might be done in like 3 days, or you might be done in 3 months. It's a lot of times it's the latter. It's the 3 months, depending on what else you got going on with your life. Okay, you're not all just sitting at home knitting. So what happens then you have to write a pattern for this thingy that you made. And hopefully you had notes, that you made notes as you went along. Like I did for Final Frost. That's what most people do. They make notes as they go along. The problem is, those are only notes. A lot of the times those are handwritten. They can be hard to decipher. They might not even be accurate. Like, and then, so after you have your notes, you got your finished thingy, okay, it's already blocked, and that's when you start writing. I skipped a step. Some people might sketch before they start knitting. Some don't. It really depends on the designer. I can go either way. I prefer to sketch now, but when I started, I just had the idea and I wrote down the specifics, like short sleeves, you know, I wanted boat neck, I wanted this and that. Like I would have it in my head. I didn't always sketch it out. That's just because I'm very visual. Like when I think things out, I visualize it really well. And that's just how my brain always worked since I was little. So I don't always have to sketch, but not everyone sketches, and that's okay. So anyway, you got your sketch, maybe you got your thing knitted, you got your notebook, and you're ready to write this down, okay? And you're writing it down and you're going through it and everything, and you write it up. And then you might have some issues. You might not fully remember where everything goes. You might not fully remember how, like the little technical bits, like did I go to the right or did I pick up stitches to the left? Did I pick up stitches from the back first or from the front? Did I do this or did I do that? Those might be little things that you might forget to write down in the moment. Specifically really technical stuff that you might think like, I'm trying to think of an example. Like, for example, what Final Frost, with me, when it came to the bodice, that's where I had, like, a lot of the tricky stuff happening in the bodice and that design. I'm going to do a close-up, but bam! I found that I didn't write down every single thing that I did. I wrote down the obvious stuff, but I didn't write down, okay, 5 stitches here, 6 stitches here, 4 rows here, 8 rows. No. And that could have been my mistake, my poor note-taking, but I've spoken to enough of y'all. I've seen y'all post, you know, it happens a lot. It happens a lot. And so when you write it up, and then you have it tech edited, there's just a lot more issues in that pattern. And so a lot can be missed. And then when you get testers, it can make the whole testing experience really difficult. And in the end, you might just have a subpar pattern versus what I usually do, which is sketch, do a swatch, and then design, and then write the pattern. But I don't even knit until my pattern is done usually. And that to me is the best way to do it. So let's go into more detail. So yeah, let's get started. So I like to start with a swatch or a sketch. Usually it's just a swatch because you can sketch and think, I'm going to use this knitting pattern. You know, I'm going to use like this motif, I should say. And then you go and you knit that motif in your yarn and then it looks like crud in a bucket. So it's happened to me. Okay, it's happened. That's why I'm letting y'all know. So what I like to do is I like to knit a swatch, and not just any swatch. I like to knit a swatch, okay? Like a swatch, depending on what it is. If it's just stockinette, I'm not gonna lie, that swatch might be like 3 inches, okay, I'm sorry. But if it's like a lace motif, cables, like you wanna see how that looks, how it drapes, you wanna see how it looks quite big, because if you're gonna be knitting a sweater or a big shawl, you really want to see the size of that swatch. The only things that are different, like that I would do differently, will be socks and mittens and hats, smaller things like that. A lot of times your cast on is the swatch because it's just so little. Like, you know, you don't need to see how a mitten drapes. You might just rather see how a knit motif will affect the fit, because I've had several knit motifs that created awful fits and small things like mittens and socks. So you might want to just stick to just casting on the item when it's really small. When it comes to sweaters and shawls and just like anything big like that, you really want to swatch to see that motif. Anytime you're going to be changing colors, you want those 2 colors in your swatch. Anytime you're going to be changing needle sizes, do it in your swatch. You really want to do everything that you're already thinking about in your head in your swatch first. Your swatch is your first sketch. You may want to sketch a little bit if you're jumbled and you really don't know what's going on, but you don't want to get into depicting knitting motifs or depicting like different color changes and everything in that sketch, because when you go to knit, that might not look right, and then you have to go back and change your sketch and re-sketch, and we ain't got time for that. So if anything, if you got a sketch, do an outline. You know, just do an outline of the thing, of the shaping, and don't put too much detail in it. And then when you swatch, then you could go back and add that detail. That's the only thing that, you know, that you could probably do and not like have to go back and redo it, because I had to go back and redo it and that's not fun. Okay, so once I got my swatch, maybe a bit of a sketch, then that's when I go in. Ooh, my batteries. Hold on, my batteries. All right, so where were we? I just had a lot of fun when I went to go get my phone charger. My dog decided to destroy our kitchen mat. Yay, puppies. So anyway, we're at the point now where you might have a really, really simple preliminary sketch. You have your swatch and you're ready to go. And what I would do first is I would start with the first sheet of your pattern, which usually is just your information sheet. Tells you the sizes, the yardage, the yarn, notion, special stitches, things like that. That's what, because that's stuff you already know. Like, you already know your special stitches because they're in your swatch. Like, you already know, like the about the yarn, because hopefully you swatched using the yarn that you plan on using for your pattern. Things like that. Some things you might not know, it's yardage. You know, you might have an idea, but you're gonna have to find that out when you do your grading sheet. So when it comes to yardage, I just leave that stuff blank. Sizes might change. I would put in, you know, sizes that I would hope to be able to grade. Usually I just have the same amount of sizes for all my patterns, depending on the size and fit, and not the size, depending on the fit of the pattern. But usually all of my patterns have the same sizes. I think they go up to a 52 or a 54. And they usually start at like a 30 bust, depending on the size. If it's more like a bralette, you're going to be starting at a 28, because you're going to need more sizes for the bralettes, because the boobs. So, yeah. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is I fill out as much as I can. Usually I can't fill out things like cast on stitch numbers because I haven't graded yet. But everything that I could fill out, I fill out. I even would do like some formatting for when I do like the cast on stitches and the rows and things like that. I might do some preliminary formatting in the body of the pattern, but usually I don't. I just do first page. And then I go in to a different program and I grade my pattern. And when I grade my pattern, it doesn't take that long. It's a formula, y'all. And once you got the formula, you're good to go. Like it's not scary. It's honestly one of my most fun things to do. I put on some Pandora and I do some math for that afternoon. And then I always look back and I always check it before I go on to step 3, which for me is putting my graded stitch counts into my pattern sheet. So I would have my setup on my computer usually be like my pattern grading sheet on one side of my screen, and then I put my pattern sheet on the other side of the screen, and I'm literally just writing and copying, pasting the stitch counts. Writing, copying, pasting the stitch counts. Making sure, everything looks right. I have not knitted this design yet because I like to do it in which I am the first test knitter. And I found that when I do it that way, it comes out beautifully. Okay, there's less issues, less trouble. Things just go 100% smoother when I do it that way. It does take a little more discipline because a lot of times you want to just start knitting, but you really have to take it from a more like, I don't know, just from like a different perspective. Doing it backwards might actually help you a lot more in the long run. It might be a little less enjoyable to grade because grading is not super duper fun time, okay? Knitting is super duper fun time. Grading isn't. But, once you do it a few times, you really don't mind it. It gets better and better every time you do it. And then what's the beauty of that is that then you can copy and paste your numbers from your grading sheet into your pattern sheet. And then at the end of it, you will have a first draft of your pattern, which is big because from then you can use that pattern to knit. And you'll be the first one to figure out when something doesn't work, when anything hypothetical that you decide to put in there, like if you decided to do the back bodice first, if you're doing like a split bodice or whatever, you decide to do the back bodice first and you notice that, hey, the front bodice makes more sense because it's a little bit easier or whatever have you, then you'll be able to make those decisions and switch it. And I found that helped me tenfold. It made... Like I did that, for example, with the Dippers cowlet, and it honestly helped a lot. Like it helped so much. With the whole process was very, very smooth, and it turns out to be a very smooth pattern. I did it with Moby. I did it with Tequila and Lime Neck Show. Like 90% of my patterns, I did it that way, and it's just, I want to tell y'all so you could learn from my mistakes. It works really well. And if y'all, my stomach is growling. My stomach hasn't growled in 10 weeks. I am so happy I can eat like a normal person. Okay, back to the show. Hi, my name is Sophia, and my show is a hot mess. So yeah, sorry, I'm like distracted by 10 million straps. So, I recommend anyone who's a budding designer, try it the backwards way. I do have a class on it. I will be releasing the class today when I release this podcast. I was hesitant to release the classes last month because I was too sick to be able to keep up with y'all. I would hate to like release something and then if someone needs help, if someone needs, you know, if someone's giving me feedback or anything like that, I wouldn't be there reliably, you know, on my phone or on my email, on my computer, or anything like that. So that's why I didn't open them last month. I just wanted to make sure everyone had a good experience. You know what I mean? I just wanted to make sure that I was able to commit. I already have a mystery knit along to commit to, which I love. But oh my goodness, when you're sick, you know, it's hard. It's hard. It really is hard to commit when you're beginning of your pregnancy. Like, I don't know how y'all do it. Y'all were telling me that y'all were like nurses or like y'all were groomers for dogs and cats and like all these like jobs, like really hands-on jobs. Like, just want to thank you. Like, I don't know how y'all do it because I can't do it. Like, y'all are so strong. Like, I look up to that so much because all I did was just lay around and just hoped that I can reach all of my deadlines as a designer. It was very hard. It was not usually what I'm used to. And so I really had to step back. I took a little bit of a loss last month. I made that choice myself. I didn't come out with a pattern in like 2 months. Like, I really stepped back. And I don't know how y'all are able to just keep going day by day by day. Like, oh gosh, it's so... First trimester is no joke, so I'm really happy to be out of that. So yeah, enough with me whining. So yeah, if you want to learn more about my classes or just about my process, just subscribe. Join my email list on my website. Hey y'all, I got an email list on my website. It's really great if you want to learn more about any of my classes or anything that we got going on there. I plan on creating a new class this summer that has to do with just more like nitty gritty, because my class right now is about pattern writing and pattern grading, and I'm going to definitely have one on swatching for success, because we can say swatch, but there's a swatch and then there's a swatch, okay? Like, there's a difference. There's a difference. And so that class will have a different style because I would actually be like showing you stuff. So just look out for that. And also, if you are a patron on my Patreon, hey, thank you. I'm changing my schedule with my Patreon a little bit. So just keep a lookout for that. I will be posting something on there shortly. Thank you everybody for contributing, and we're going to get into the patrons right now. Alright guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all Friday for realsies this time. Bye!